Is it audible? Is it clear? Okay, good. Namaste. Good morning. Tashi Delek. Tashi Delek is Tibetan way of greeting, which means may you have all the auspiciousness, temporary well-being, and long-term happiness. I would like to, first of all, greet Honorable Chief Guest Reverend Dr. Parveen Mantis, SJ Vice Chancellor, the two registrars, other faculty members and staffs, and of course, students. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. When I was invited by the 4 settlement officers to attend a Tibet Culture Festival in Mysore, I suggested that since I'm coming all the way from Dharamshala to Karnataka, why don't you try to make some program in some universities? Because what we are organizing is to share the deep commitment of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, primarily non-violence, compassion, loving kindness, and so forth, which is so much needed in today's turbulent world. And I must thank them that they worked very hard to organize all this. And I must thank all the institutes who so openly welcomed us and give us this wonderful, amazing opportunity. Not only just providing the venue, but more importantly, giving this opportunity to meet all of these bright, fresh, clever young people. So without taking much time, at the outset, while coming into this institute, it reminded me my young age when I had opportunities to participate in many Christian-Buddhist dialogues in America, in Europe, and also had the privilege of personally meeting Pope John Paul II. And then having Christian brothers and sisters coming to Bodh Gaya and meditating under the Bodhi tree, and then traveling with His Holiness to Jerusalem in Israel, and having pilgrimage, exchange, dialogue, prayer together with all the major religious traditions of the world. His Holiness has now just completed his 90th year, and we are very happy that he is still with us. So therefore, the Tibetans and many of His Holiness's followers all around the world are celebrating his 90th anniversary all over the world, starting from 6th July, which is his birthday, to the next year, 2026, 6th July. I myself consider this extremely fortunate for me to be able to participate and make my small contribution towards what His Holiness has been doing, because I am not only his follower, but I also received my highest Buddhist ordination from His Holiness Dalai Lama, and also had the privilege of staying very close to him for over nearly 40 years in Dharamshala. And then of late, I also got this privilege of working in his office for 16 years, supposed to be his religious assistant translator, and traveling to over 30 countries. So I feel inspired today to share a little bit I know, although these commitments are very deep. So without taking much time, I will just start. First of all, I will introduce the 4 commitments which His Holiness made, and we can all, and we not only can, but we should all make this commitment his first commitment is, as a human being, we should do everything possible to better the lot of human beings all over the world. Believer, non-believer, even those who are against religion, doesn't matter. So long as they are human beings, we must think about their well-being and cultivate inner values, develop inner resources. So you can clearly see how much His Holiness the Dalai Lama is committed for universal peace. His first principal commitment is not about Tibet. It is about whole humanity. And I remember His Holiness making a statement in Brazil. At that time I had already left his office and working in the library, and he invited me to join him as one of the entourage members. And then there His Holiness said, the buildings are becoming taller and taller. The morality is going lower and lower everywhere, unfortunately. Now today you are all aware that be it the unfortunate thing happening in Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Iran, or Taiwan and China, so many places are conflict-ridden, and hundreds and thousands of people, especially women and children, are unnecessarily dying. So all this clearly show. And then, of course, in addition to that, we have many problems everywhere, in every society. All these problems and difficulties show that something is going wrong with us, the human beings. So it's high time that we think, where are we going wrong? I think human beings have this amazing human brain and intelligence, which no other animals have. But unfortunately, many a times we are misusing this amazing brain and misusing this amazing intelligence. People who use this brain intelligence the right way become His Holiness Dalai Lama, become the Pope, become Nelson Mandela, and so many other great human beings are there. Just one human being brings so much peace and happiness if the brain and the intelligence is used in the right way. But unfortunately, many times we use this brain, amazing brain, and intelligence in the wrong way. How to exploit other people, how to take advantage of other people, how to engage in corruption, how to engage in bribery. So this is really destroying the backbone of any country by developing these negative ways of life and negative emotions. So therefore, His Holiness's first commitment is, whether you are a believer or non-believer or whoever you are, the source of all problems, the major source of all problems is not outside, it is inside you. So long as you have all these negative emotions of anger, jealousy, hatred, so long as you have this, you will have all kind of unceasing problems. That is 100% sure. So I want to remind the students, just giving few examples so that you are able to understand this easily. For example, anger. Is there anybody who right in the morning makes a motivation saying that I will get angry today? Is there anybody who right in the morning makes a motivation saying that I will get angry today? Is there anybody? No, right? Even though you don't have such a motivation right in the morning, but in the course of the day, sometimes you meet strange people, sometimes you are mentally a little bit unhappy, you get angry, right? Then at the close of the day, having realized that you got angry in the course of the day, is there anybody who says that today I was very angry and I fought with somebody, so I really enjoyed the day? Is there anybody? Is there anybody who got angry and said, I really enjoyed the day? Whether men or women, boys or girls, whoever, we all want to be a nice, presentable person, right? We comb our hair, we put some cosmetics here, And even after adorning yourself with, sometimes even with golden rings and so forth, after that you get angry. Do you now look handsome? Do you now look beautiful? Right? So your handsomeness, your beauty is destroyed by anger. When you get angry, you become ugly. So the question is, do you want to get ugly? No, right? Then when you get angry, blood pressure increases. Do you want to increase your blood pressure? Of course not. And then the worst thing is, when you get angry, you become mad. You want to become mad? So there's so many things we can talk about the negativeness of even one negative emotion. Then attachment, for example. It is because of the attachment today. Everywhere you go, even in big cities, where the so-called great leaders stay, there the air is polluted, water is polluted, everything is not functioning so well. Why? Because of attachment. Because of obsession with things, because of attachment. We want to just collect and excavate everything from the natural resources. As a result, the water is polluted, natural resources are depleting, mineral resources are depleting, right? So because of this, we have polluted air, polluted water, and so forth. So here what we really need to realize is the so-called development that we are talking about in the world today is primarily material development we are talking about, not so much about spiritual development. That is, of course, one big, disadvantage. But even in terms of material development, from where are you going to make the material development? What are the resources? Material development can be made only from mineral resources, from forests, from water, and so forth. And these external resources, by definition, are physical resources. Anything that is physical has, by definition, limitation. So now think about this. How can you make unlimited progress, material progress, from limited resources? By going in that direction, you're only continuously, gradually, completely destroying the natural resources. This is happening today. The untimely change of seasons, untimely change of weather pattern, all this is an indication of our misuse of natural resources. Just to give you one example, anger and attachment. And all these negative emotions like anger and attachment arises because of ignorance. Ignorance means not only lack of knowledge, but misconception of reality. And what is reality? Reality is that we are all closely connected to each other. Whether you know anybody on this globe or not, but somehow directly, indirectly, you are dependent on each other. But because you don't realize this interconnectedness, this web of connection, and then with your limited knowledge, you only know how to divide, not how to connect. And you divide by saying, I belong to this religion, this community, that community. Then you make this discrimination between the white and the black and the yellow and green, whatever. Unfortunately, this is a big tragedy, this division that we are making among the human society. Because when there is a big tragedy, that tragedy will engulf all of us. We cannot make any discrimination. For example, the COVID-19 experience is quite fresh in our mind. When COVID-19 came, did it make discrimination? Among countries, among nationalities, among religion, did it make discrimination? No. We all became victim of that COVID-19. And at that time, most of us are helpless. We don't know how to deal with those COVID-19 problems. Even the so-called most developed countries, with their sophisticated machines to kill human beings, don't know how to deal with the problem of the COVID-19, which is such a shock and tragedy. So this is all happening because our inner resources of love and compassion are missing. And in fact, Many diseases that we experience today, including COVID-19, are clear indication of human misadventure with animals, playing with the life of animals. It is scientifically now proved. Right? So therefore, it is highly, highly important that we should inculcate and develop these inner qualities like loving kindness, compassion, resilience, patience, harmony, cooperation, respect towards each other. Extremely, extremely important. So therefore, His Holiness Dalai Lama is emphasizing on this first commitment, that is inculcating human values. Now here, he is really emphasizing on inculcating these human values which are universal, which is not based on just one religious system. Because His Holiness strongly feels that as far as these universal values are concerned, this should be taught based on our common human experience, scientific findings, not based on any particular religious system. He's not talking about teaching these universal values based on the Buddhist teaching. Right? Just to give you an example, for example, when we were born from the mother, the first thing that we do is crying, right? By crying, the child is asking for something at that time. But it is 100% sure that the child is not asking for a lengthy discourse on Buddhism or thereby Christianity. The child is simply asking for somebody's unconditional love, unconditional care. This is how we grew. So we need that kind of universal message. And that universal message should be from bottom up, not top down. Bottom up means, if I smile, you feel happy. You smile at me, I also feel happy. If I speak nicely, you feel happy. This is bottom up, not top down, that we should do this because this is said by Buddha, this is said by Jesus, not like that. Based on our common sense, common experience, and which is applicable to everybody, believer, non-believer, and even to those who are against any religious system. So therefore, secular ethics. Now some people don't like the word secular ethics, in which case we use the word social, emotional, ethical learning. And due to His Holiness' initiative, in fact, I was so lucky that I was chosen as one of the first person to come up with the curriculum on this, although I'm not an expert on that. But my friends, others worked very hard. Now we are teaching this social, emotional, ethical learning in hundreds of schools and universities all over the world. And people are expressing great appreciation for this. So if you want to know more, please connect to the Social Emotional Learning website in Emory University, where we have a branch there. So you can download most of the textbooks and other, the framework of the whole system and so forth. So I have no time to go much into the depth. You should read more. So the most important thing that we need to understand is that first you should consider as just a human being, not Indian, not Tibetan, not Christian, not Muslim, just human being. And see others as another human being, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. That is the most important thing. Don't judge others with your knowledge, with your religion, things like that. See other human beings who came into this world, who want happiness, who don't want suffering. And we are all going to die one day. So what should we do to live nicely together within this limited given time? And one very good reminder, which I've started saying in accordance with the spirit of the Buddha's teaching, is right now we have over 8 billion human population on this earth. All this over 8 billion human population are dead after 100 years counting from today. For me, this is a very powerful message, and I've started delivering this. And I'm saying this not to frighten you, but this is a reality. Imagine, think carefully, meditate on this. In 100 years from today, can you imagine all this over 8 billion human population are dead? That means, now depending upon your age, how long you are going to live. In my case, I'm already over 70, right? You're happy to know my age. So I'm over 70. If I'm lucky enough, maybe another 10 years. Very, very lucky, maybe another 20 years. So I have to think, what should I be doing in the next 10, 20 years? In your case, you may have a little bit more time. Think about how you are going to use the rest of your life to create more misery, more problem, more pollution, more fighting, more discrimination. Is this what you want to do? Or live the rest of your life happily, with friendship, with solidarity, with harmony? Choice is yours. That's His Holiness' first commitment. His second commitment is also not about Tibet. His second commitment is, he says that I am a Buddhist, which means I am supposed to be a religious person. So therefore, my job is to bring religious harmony. Unfortunately, even religion, which is supposed to be the solution for many of human problems and difficulties, sometimes even religion becomes a dividing force. It has happened so many times in the history. Probably not because of the religion itself, but because people who misuse religion for their personal name, personal gain, they misuse religion and then use religion as a dividing factor. It has happened, which is unfortunate. This is like medicine becoming poison. If religion itself become a poison, then where are you going to seek your refuge? Right? So therefore, His Holiness made a lot of effort to bring religious harmony. And I had the great privilege of attending many of these religious gatherings. In some cases, to be honest, even in Christianity, the Protestants and Catholics are not talking to each other. In some places, the different Muslim communities, they are not talking to each other. And because of His Holiness's initiative, they all managed to come together, talk to each other. And it is possible. It's definitely not only possible, it must be there. Don't worry about the philosophical differences among religions. There are philosophical differences. Some believe in a creator God, some don't believe in a creator God. Doesn't matter. But important thing is, what is the objective and purpose of these religions? What is the universal message of these religions? The message of these universal religions are to live in peace, to live in harmony, to develop love and compassion. That is the message. That's more important for us than the philosophical differences. So therefore, we must respect each other. And as I mentioned, I had the privilege of attending so many international, conferences and dialogues, especially the Buddhist and Christian dialogues, many seminars and dialogues. Because when you go and talk to other people, listen to their religious discourses, then you will know, oh, this is amazing. Sometimes without talking to other people, we think, oh, my religion is the best. Anything that belongs to you is the best. Your smelly socks is also the best socks. It may be smelly, but you think this is the best. Right? So therefore, you talk to each other. Talk to each other. And if I ask you the question, which religion is the best religion in the world? What do you think? What is your answer? This is a stupid question. It's really like asking which medicine is the best medicine. There are medicines which are very pricey, very costly, but that doesn't mean that medicine is the best medicine. For you, that medicine is best which cures your personal illness. Be it headache, be it diarrhea, that medicine is best. The others, which does not cure your illness, may be very highly priced, but is of no relevance to you. So therefore, you can say, for me, Christianity is best. For me, Buddhism is best. For me, Islam is best. That doesn't mean it's best for everybody. So therefore, there must be religious pluralism. Respect each other. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama has clearly mentioned that he uses the word supermarket of religions. In a supermarket, if what is available is only shoes, not many people will go there. But when the supermarket has so many different commodities, many people can get benefited by going there. So people have different dispositions. For some people, believing in a God is powerful. For some people, believing in personal responsibility is more powerful, right? So the end purpose is same. Therefore, respect all religions. Very, very important. Very, very important. So that is, I don't have to go into detail. You can ask me questions. That's second commitment. Third commitment is about Tibet. Now you can follow His Holiness example. First commitment as a human being. Just as he made the commitment, you are a human being, you have responsibilities towards humanity. Second, he is a religious person. His objective is to unify, the religious traditions, to have dialogue with them. So you are also believer. So therefore you must respect other religious traditions and talk to them, learn from them. Third, His Holiness is Tibetan, and you are Indian. So you have responsibility to India. His Holiness has a responsibility to Tibet, which makes perfect sense. Now in the case of Tibet, unfortunately, over more than now 66 years, Tibetans are under subjugation. I'm sure many of you know Tibet was, the problem that Tibet is facing today is because of coming of an uninvited guest. You can imagine if somebody just intrudes your home without being invited, you will have a lot of problem. That has happened with Tibet, uninvited guests. And not only they have invaded Tibet, but without respect to the Tibetan culture, Tibetan ways of life, Tibetan environment. Now, for example, in the case of environment, you see, Tibet is very important, not only for Tibet, but for the whole world, especially the Asian countries, because all the major rivers, be it the river that goes to Pakistan, be it the river that goes to India, the Ganges River, Brahmaputra River, and similarly the Salween, Mekong that goes to Vietnam and China, all these big major rivers, they have their source in Tibet. Now, unfortunately, today, the Chinese government is building dams over all these rivers and using it as a way to engage in conflict with the neighboring countries. Just to give you one example, I don't have time to go into the depth. So that is the problem. When Tibet was a free country, between India and Tibet, we don't have to put even one soldier. You read the history, you will know it. The relation between India and Tibet was such a close relation. It's not an economical relation. It's not a political relation. It's a several thousand years of spiritual relationship, guru-chela relationship, teacher-student relationship. Tibetans considered Indians like Buddha as their teacher, and we, your chela, disciple. So there was such a peaceful kind of relationship between it. After China invaded Tibet, now today you can please find out, several thousands of kilometers between India and China now has to be manned by several thousands of soldiers throughout the year, summer, winter, whatever, and how many billions of dollars you have to spend. Think about this a little bit. And mistake is, because at that time, probably Tibetans also could not make much international relationship. There may be one mistake. And then many countries also did not pay much attention to this peace-loving small country. Now the result is, unfortunate result is experienced not only by Tibetans, but all the neighboring countries. So that's why, I give a lot of talks to different people. So sometimes I challenge them. I tell them, okay, you should support Tibet today. Because His Holiness, the Tibetan people, for over 66 years, stuck to the practice of non-violence wholeheartedly. 66 years, it's not 1 year. And His Holiness Dalai Lama even went to the extent of saying, okay, let us not talk about past history. China is always saying Tibet is part of China, Tibet is part of China, Tibet is, that is their mantra. They are having to repeat Tibet is a part of China, Tibet is part of China, like a mantra shows Tibet is not part of China. Because if it is part of China, you don't have to repeat like this. Indian government do not have to say Manglore is part of India, Manglore is part of India, Manglore is part of... You don't have to say this. It is part of India. So in the case of Tibet, that is happening, unfortunately. And then because of their population, because of their power, and because of their capacity to do business with the world, and people are not talking much about Tibet, unfortunately. So in a challenging note, I tell them that, look, today if you support Tibetan struggle, just struggle, led by His Holiness Dalai Lama, it is good for the humanity for the long run. Today, if you remain silent and don't support this non-violent, peaceful struggle for over 66 years, and then let us say Tibet dies a natural death and disappears, next time if somebody talks about non-violence and compassion, people will say, go hell with your non-violence and compassion. What did the Tibetans get? What did the Dalai Lama get? Who advocated peace and non-violence for so many years, what did they get? So it is not only a struggle of Tibetan people, but it is a struggle of the whole world. Recently His Holiness published a book, over 70 years of Tibetan experience, and especially the ongoing dialogue and struggle with the Chinese government. So there he has clearly mentioned how much effort His Holiness and Tibetan administration has made to do negotiation and dialogue. But the problem with the Chinese counterpart is they have mouth, no ear. They only lecture, not only with the Tibetan, everywhere. They give only lecture, they tell lie, and because there is possibilities of doing business, people tend to think, okay, should be all right. It's not all right. They will fool you again. That's the, unfortunately, communist strategy. I'm not here to make a political statement. Recently, when we were celebrating His Holiness' 90th birthday, and His Holiness issued a statement saying that my reincarnation will continue to come. Now China is mad with that. You must have seen this in the newspaper saying, this is a geopolitical issue. This has nothing to do with geopolitical issue. They are making it geopolitical issue. Because we have this several thousand years of recognizing the reincarnation, and His Holiness clearly said we do it in accordance with the prevalent Tibetan tradition. This is telling the truth and continuously doing what we have been doing for so many thousand years. China immediately says, this is geopolitical. Dalai Lama cannot choose his reincarnation. It should be chosen by the Chinese government. What are you saying? What is your right on Tibet? You have invaded Tibet. You are destroying Tibetan culture. You are destroying Tibetan language. So what right do you have to talk about recognizing the Dalai Lama's reincarnation? The Chinese Communist government has been systematically trying to destroy every trace of Buddhist practice religion. Now they are talking about recognizing the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. They have been calling His Holiness as the counter-revolutionary, the monk in wolf's cloth. Now they are interested in recognizing his reincarnation. What a joke! What a joke! But believe me, His Holiness Dalai Lama, or even me, we are not at all against the Chinese people. I have Chinese friends also everywhere. They are like you and me. They are also human beings. They are no devil's ghost. But we are against this dictatorial communist rule, which is not doing good not only for Tibet, but they are doing many nasty things for their own people and for the rest of the world. So I just want to mention a little bit about the situation in Tibet. Okay? The fourth commitment is, His Holiness says, my body is fed with Indian dal and chapati, or rice, and my mind is fed by Indian spirituality, that of the Buddha, that of Nagarjuna, that of Shanti Deva, that of Baba Viveka. These are all great Indian Buddhist masters, many of whom actually visited Tibet, like Shenda Rakshita, Kamala Shila, Adisha Divam Karashirijana. They spent many years in Tibet and taught there. And we are today probably, if I'm not, hopefully I'm not biased, if you really want to understand the complete teaching of the Buddha, the Sutric teaching, the Mahayana teaching, then the Tantric teaching, it's found only in the Tibetan tradition. And thanks to the lineage that we had inherited from the great Indian masters right from the Buddha. So therefore, His Holiness is now saying that it is very important to preserve and promote the ancient Indian tradition. Very important. And His Holiness has very clearly said it is perhaps only India which can have these traditional values of reasoning and emotional regulation with the modern scientific findings. Only country that can do it. But unfortunately, in our case also, many times we go more for the Western style of doing things, including the technological, megahows like ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, things, and we get mesmerized. Wow, so beautiful, so amazing. Inside completely hollow. Andar kuch bhi nahi hai. There's a big tragedy. So therefore, His Holiness is telling us we must revive and restore, appreciate ancient Indian tradition. Now, he's not talking about restoring the rituals. He's not talking about restoring the blind faith aspects. He's talking about using the reason the Indian way. If you study the Gurukul system of learning in ancient Indian times, there is always dialogue between the teacher and the students. Students are encouraged to ask questions. The teacher will never say that don't ask stupid questions. Whatever I'm saying, just listen to it, do it. They never say. So Indian religion is actually a religion of dialogue. That must be preserved. Asking questions, using your brain, that must be promoted. People must be given freedom to think for themselves and be the genuine person, not the duplicate one made by the society. Second, India is very rich in dealing with human emotion. And we all have a lot of emotions, positive emotions and negative emotions. When negative emotions arise, we don't know how to deal with it. But the solution is there in the ancient Indian tradition. Now it is a fact that in many so-called modern developed countries, people are suffering from depression, people are suffering from loneliness, people are suffering from low self-esteem. Why all this is happening? All this is happening because there is no inner resources to deal with these problems. So it's absolutely important for you, the younger generation, to highly cherish these inner resources. Because at the end of the day, if you don't help yourself, nobody is going to help you. Believe me. Your parents and your dear brothers and sisters and others who love you, they can benefit you a little bit, but they don't really have the capacity to enter in your brain and think for you. Right? So at the end of the day, you need to take good care of yourself. And that is possible if you develop this inner positive resources. Right? So therefore His Holiness again is working very hard. And in fact, even in the Buddhist philosophical tradition, he selected a number of Buddhist monk scholars and asked them to read the Buddha's teachings and other Indian commentaries. And then he said, from there, you make 3 sections. One just for Buddhist. That's not the business of others. It's only business for Buddhist people. Then he said, in the teachings of Buddha and Indian master, there is a section on Buddhist science. There's a section on Buddhist philosophy. So make this section on Buddhist science and Buddhist philosophy available to everybody to help them deal with many of these internal turbulences and negative emotions. Already 4 sets of books are already published on this. So therefore, to conclude, His Holiness, we consider him as a bodhisattva, somebody who has really dedicated his whole life. Now he is 90 years old, and still almost every other day he sees thousands of people, bless them, encourage them, inspire them, And I'm sure a number of you people have also visited him, right? So he's a great example. But this does not mean to say that you can't become like that. I cannot become like that. Buddha was also an ordinary person in the beginning. And he saw the force of negative emotions. And therefore he distanced himself and reduced these negative emotions. He saw the great many advantages of positive emotions. He promoted them, cultivated them. This is how we become Buddha. So we all have this capacity to reduce the negative emotions and to promote and cultivate the positive emotions. That is the job of all of us, not just a follower of a particular religion. So therefore, I wish all of you to be happy, to be in peace, and you should rejoice that you are in such a reputed, center of learning. And I can clearly see the importance of this institute by my brief meeting with the Vice Chancellor and registrars. He was not pretending that he is a great Vice Chancellor and distancing himself and not coming to meet me. Whether he meets me or not me, that's not much a big issue for me. But it's the humanity. It's the humility that is taught in Christianity, that all of them came to see me. I'm nobody. But because they support His Holiness' thinking, His message of love and compassion, they said we should be a partner to this. And therefore they are giving this platform and all the needed cooperation. So I have no doubt that you are under very good leadership, and it's a great opportunity for you to not only gain the external academic knowledge, because when we say education, unfortunately these days many people, they equate education with the literacy, reading, writing, and mathematics. That is not education. That is literacy. What we need is education. Education means human flourishing. That in all difficult situations, you are able to maintain your calmness, stability, and be happy. If you get something like that, that is education. And many times you find more happier people in villages than in big academic institutions. So that also shows something is going wrong with education. So I pray for all your well-being, happiness. May God bless all of you. Thank you so much.
Hello. On behalf of everyone present here, I extend our heartfelt thanks to Venerable Geshe for his profound and enlightening talk. Your words have deeply inspired and enriched us all. We will now open the floor for Q&A session lasting for 20 minutes. I encourage all the audience members to take a valuable opportunity to ask your question and engage in a meaningful dialogue. If you have any question, please raise your hand and our team will hand over the microphone to you.
Namaste, I am Vaishnavi Nambyar. I am a student of 2nd BAA. So I firmly believe in the power of kindness, and we see that His Holiness often speaks of kindness and compassion as a universal value and a secular ethic, as you have mentioned. So in today's world, where we often see the youth being disconnected from religion and inner values, how can we practically incorporate compassion training in mainstream academic curricula? That's my question. Thank you.
I do not know whether in your curriculum there is a separate topic for teaching ethics. If it is not there, it is worthwhile to consider to have at least one separate period, maybe once in a week, twice in a week, about social, emotional, ethical learning. And as I mentioned, we have all the curriculums ready to be used. It's available on Emory University website. You can also connect me. So that's one way of doing it. Another important way of doing that is teachers of all disciplines, whether somebody is teaching mathematics or whatever, or political science, whatever somebody is teaching, because all these activities are human activities. all human activities must benefit human beings. Therefore, a component of teaching ethics should be there even when you teach mathematics, even when you teach political science. Because all these subjects are not just for earning money. These subjects are taught so that people will not only get job, but they are also able to live a happy, peaceful life. So therefore, it is again the responsibility of the faculty members, teachers, and others who on and off teach this universal ethics.
Thank you for your enlightening words on significance of ethics and mainstream academia. Thank you.
I remember once reading about kindness. There is a powerful statement which says, kindness is a language that the blind can see and the deaf can hear. Very powerful. Any other questions? You know all the answers. I remember attending many of my governing body meetings where they say, any comments, any questions? If no question, the meeting is dissolved. Something like that. So you are very happy when I said the meeting is dissolved. But it is in her hand, not in my hand. Okay, I'll ask you a question. If you don't have a question, I'll ask you a question. Answer loudly. Do you want happiness?
Yes.
For how many days? I know you are a bunch of greedy people. So, I'm not asking this question in vain. This is a question that you must ask yourself all the time. Because right now you are sitting and reflecting and thinking, therefore you are able to give the right answer. I want happiness, I want long-lasting happiness. But this is not how we live. In our rushed life, we live and think and act as if we don't want, forget about long-lasting happiness. We even don't want happiness. Looks like that. Therefore, you need to ask this question, I want happiness, I want long-lasting happiness. That is a good question. But the more important question is, if you want long-lasting happiness, what do you think is the main source of that long-lasting happiness? Main. Small contributions will be here and there, but what do you think is the main source of long-lasting happiness? Abhi chup kaise ho gaya? Now tell me, give me the answer. What do you think is the main source of their long-lasting happiness? Money? Money? Money is the main source of long-lasting happiness? What, yes? No or yes? Some people say yes, some people say no. Okay, your family, your parents, your brothers, sisters, do you think they are the long source of happiness? Main source of happiness? Yes. My dear brothers and sisters, I tell you one bitter truth. Anything that is outside you cannot be the main source of happiness. They'll go away. You have to get separated from them. You have no control. They cannot be the main source of happiness. They'll give you a little bit of happiness here and there, but they will never be your main source of happiness. Your main source of happiness has to come from within. Remember this. You should cultivate your mind in such a way that in all ups and downs in your life, you should be able to remain relatively happy. Money will change, friends will change, relatives will die. If you become too dependent on external situations, you will never be happy. Like, for example, the Manglore rain. Do you like this rain, incessant rain? Whether you like it or not, there's not much you can do. But the thing is, when this incessant rain comes, there's two ways of dealing with it. One, you become angry, you become horrible, and curse the weather, curse the rain. This bloody rain, and get angry. By your cursing and complaining and by your getting angry, will the rain say, "Sorry, madam, I will stop raining"? Will it say like that? No, because it's external, it's outside of you, you have no control over it. So don't try to control which is not under your control. But the one thing that is under your control is your emotional reaction to what is happening around you. That is under your control. So judge carefully before you react. Whether it's something that you can solve or whether it is something that you can't solve. If it is something you can solve, don't worry, because you can solve it. If it is something you can't solve, no use worrying. By worrying, you can't solve it. For example, if my left hand is missing, there are only two ways of doing it. One is, for the rest of my life, I just feel miserable and only think about the missing hand, saying, I am such unfortunate fellow, I don't have the left hand. See, all these people have the left hand, and feel miserable. Just by feeling miserable and sad and sorry, will the left hand come back? No, it will not come back. So therefore it is pointless to think about this. Instead you should think, yes, I don't have the left hand, but I have the right hand, which is actually stronger one. And there are people who don't have both the hands and both the legs. You must have seen many of them. I've seen many of them. They also have to live cheerfully. So appreciate the positive things you have. One Western nun came to me one day and said, Geshe, can you please teach me meditation? She actually wanted to listen from me the traditional sets of rules and regulations about meditation. I didn't teach those rules and regulations. I simply told her, okay, if you want to learn meditation, please, this whole morning you should imagine you're not a human being, you're a cow. And live like a cow, eat like a cow. Then you will know what it means to be a human being. That is meditation. All right, thank you. There being no question.
I have a question.
Huh?
I have a question.
What?
I have a question.
The meeting has already dissolved. I'm joking. Okay, yeah, last question.
Yeah, last question.
Yeah.
So you were talking about
Huh?
You were talking about how we should, express positive emotions.
Yes.
And, not, take anger control of us, right? But don't you think it's important to have a balance too, where, you should expel your anger instead of maybe bottling it in?
No. Don't misquote me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I
misunderstood you.
No. Please be careful, okay? I am a student of logics. So I'm very careful about the words that I use. I did not say don't express anger.
So
I said it is not good to have anger and resentment, but sometimes you do get angry and it is better to express it than have hatred and ill will.
Yeah.
Okay? So anyway, the answer to your question is, even some of the scientists, they say, there's nothing called positive emotion, negative emotion. All emotions are necessary. They come up with this quotation, fight and flight response. But there is no scientist who would say, oh, anger is really, really good, especially if you're very, very angry and kill others, it's very good. Nobody will say like that. Right? So therefore, the point that I am making is, people do think that if I am not angry, people will bully me, so sometimes I have to be angry, I have to be bold. That is wrong. Because you can be much more powerful and strong without getting angry. Yes, you get the feeling that if I develop anger, I get an extra energy. That's true. You get an extra energy. You get this boldness to say something, do something. But that anger is essentially blind energy. It is unsure whether it will hit the target or not. So it's always better not to have these negative emotions. And in the absence of these negative emotions, you can actually be much, much, much stronger. So people like Mahatma Gandhi, His Holiness Dalai Lama, I consider them as very, very strong people. Because they are very strong, they don't have to use nuclear bombs. People who are weak, they themselves hide in bunkers and use nuclear missiles and send ordinary people get killed in the battlefield. They themselves don't come into the battlefield. They hide in the bunker. They are coward. They are not strong people. But people like Mahatma Gandhi, Buddha, His Holiness Dalai Lama, they are really, really brave people, strong people. Without resorting to any arms, they are able to face the challenges and difficulties.
You mean not to have any negative emotions? That's what you said? Or did I misunderstand it? Did you just say not to have negative emotions?
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Not to have.
Yeah.
But it will take a long time to be without negative emotions.
Yeah.
So on and off you will get angry, you will fail, then try, you will fail, try. Then gradually you will be able to remove these negative emotions.
No, but I personally think removing it is a bad idea. So I personally think that, removing it might be a bad idea since, you should have balance. We should have balance, right, when it comes to that.
I respect your thinking.
Yeah, I respect yours too. Thank you.
I give you an opportunity to experiment it. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Huh?
Here.
What's happening now?
So, I have a question. Lot of things are happening in the world right now, and people are turning blind towards humanity. Is there any specific reason for it, or is there any way we can regain it back? Like I have seen youth also people who have aged, they are turning blind towards humanity. So I wanted to ask this.
Yeah, because we go more for immediately available things. We go more for sensual pleasures than long-term happiness. Right? Today the whole world is running. Everybody says I'm busy, right? But I'm telling you, it is not important to be busy. What is important is what are you busy about? When I ask this question, what are you busy about? You are primarily busy about seeing something beautiful, listening to something, melodious, and then smelling something fragrant, touching something that is soft, tasting something that is delicious. You are only chasing the sensual objects. We are pleasure seekers, which means you continuously go outside. And inside, hollow. घर में कोई नहीं है, अंदर कोई नहीं है, ताला लगा हुआ है. That's why you get the problem. Inside, all these good qualities are not there. House is locked, it is dusty, it is falling apart, and we don't get happiness. So happiness is to be cultivated by the internal human mind, not by the senses. Make this distinction. Right? The more you go inside, the more you will see your responsibility towards the rest of humanity, how we are closely connected, why it is important to live in harmony and so forth. Right? Okay?
Thank you, sir.
That's Harmendo.
You can ask any question, especially Geshe has a lot of experience with how to perceive or tackle the challenges? As a student, I know you guys can go through lots of mental stress, whether in terms of studies and all. So you can ask any question apart from today's topic. To tackle.
Okay, any questions? I have the magic wand to solve all the problems.
Good morning, sir.
I'm joking.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
This might be off topic. Here.
कहाँ है? अब कहाँ है? अच्छा.
So, I want to know about something related to forgiveness.
Wait. Yeah.
Something related to forgiveness. Do you think it is okay to forgive people? If yes, till what extent? Is there a limit or no?
Yeah. I
Thank
tell you, forgive, but remember the names. Now, when I say forgive and remember the names, I am not saying remember the names to revenge, but to remember wrongdoings as wrongdoings. You also do wrong things to yourself. People also do wrong things with yourself. So that is a thing that has already happened. Now, no need to get lost into it. But remember the wrongdoings as wrongdoings.
So every offense or everything is forgivable. There is no limit to it.
Of course.
So if I remember what has happened, no, it will, even if I forgive that person, it will always be there.
Now it depends on the situation. For example, if some problem is happening right now, you forgive one time. Still that person keeps on doing the wrong thing. You forgive second time. फिर आपको क्या करना चाहिए? Then you should say enough. Then you take a stand to do the wrong right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? Yeah. Think about this.
Yes.
Think about this. Cotton, you know cotton? Rui, cotton. People say cotton is soft. People say cotton is soft. So nice, it is so soft. They use it, put it in the mat to sit on it. So becoming too soft is also not good. You will become a doormat. So that's why in Buddhism it is said you must use your heart and head together. Your heart must be compassionate. That doesn't mean then you become softy, that you become a doormat, that you let other people bully you. No. Stand strong. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
As a student, what can we do? Like the little things we can do in our life to, become like a great person out there. Like, for example, the Dalai Lama or Gandhi, as you said. I believe that small things in life can, be something which can butterfly into something better.
Very true. All big things start from small things. In fact, the smallest thing has the greatest power, actually. For example, the atomic energy, it started from the atoms in the nucleus. And similarly, if you go within your mind, the most powerful mind is called clear light mind, a very subtle mind, which is hidden right now because we give opportunity only to grosser consciousness. But through meditation, if you go deeper and explore that clear light mind, the luminous mind, all the energies are there. Small things. Have you read this book called Atomic Habit?
Yes, I've read it.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that also says atomic habit, from small habits, Start from small, yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Acha, ठीक है. Please,
So,
yeah.
so my name is Calvin. So since we are students here, a lot of us face with the problem of anxiety. So how would you, in your terms, define anxiety, keeping aside the definition of, from science? And what measures would you suggest us to tackle anxiety?
Depression, anxiety, all this come because of our not doing the things that we should be doing. Many students, when it is their time to study, they don't study. Then when the exam is coming, then anxiety, depression, all these things. So right from the beginning, you start doing all the important things that needs to be done, then you can relax. No use of anxiety. Anxiety, in fact, is not the solution for anything. Right? So instead, one thing, I'm glad that you asked this question. One thing that you do as a student is be always mentally relaxed and delightful and happy, whatever you're doing. When your mind is delightful and enjoy what you're doing, there's no question of arisal of anxiety or depression, things like that. So many times you get some kind of anxiety and depression. It means you don't like your study very much. You're not focused into it. So making effort really means not working hard, but delighting in what you do. That's very important. Like a sportsman or sportswoman, You should like what you're doing. If you don't like, then don't do it. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Now warming
Namaste.
up. Yeah.
Namaste. Yes. In this world of where militarization, like in nations like even Japan, or like authoritarianism, dictatorship, where nations try to take control of things, like control of communities like yours.
Yeah.
How do you think a Tibetan community would survive the world? They survive the wave of militarization, authoritarianism, and survive all these things in the modern world of 21st century? Thank you.
Very good question. But I trust, very good question, but listen to this carefully. I trust the law of nature. Nobody can go against the law of nature. How many dictators have come and visited this planet? Where are they now? Where is Mao Zedong? Gone. Where is Hitler? Gone. Where is Stalin? Gone. All these horrible dictators, they have only limited period. So many of these present dictators, it's only a matter of years, they will all be gone. So don't worry about that. But peace, humility, non-violence, they are in the innermost depth of every living human being. We all want happiness, do not want suffering, as you already answered. Right? So when you engage in act of violence, it looks like this is like decisive for a time, but it will not go very long. Now look at what is happening in China right now. There's a lot of infight going on right now. Who will rule the country? Things like that. So dictators have only a limited time, whereas nonviolence and peace will live forever. It may not become a news today or tomorrow, but it's silently working. For example, in Manglore, what is your population, Manglore? Over 7 lakh something, right? 7,70,000, something like that. Now, for example, today, how many people get killed today in Manglore city? How many people are killed? Maybe countable, only few, right? How many people are taken care of by their parents? How many children are taken care of by their parents? How many sick people are treated in hospitals? Countless. So from there you can see that compassion, love, nonviolence has much, much bigger prevalence than wrongdoing. Nonviolence has a bigger presence. Compassion has a bigger presence, not violence. It's only because it comes out in the newspaper, then in the television, then we think, oh, human beings are hopeless. No, it is not like that. Okay? But the question is not how long Tibet live. The question is how long the humanity live.
Good morning, Dalai Lama. I'm kind of nervous speaking, so I'm sorry.
Hello. Since we have a limited time, we'll end up with the one question only. Last question.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Since the 50s, you've been to India after your exile, and since Tibet's annexation, what is your vision for Tibet in the future, and how was your stay in Tibet back when you were in Tibet? How was your life like in Tibet, and what is your future for Tibet?
I was luckily born in Tibet, and at that time, of course, I don't remember much because I was a small child, and I left Tibet only when I was 6-7 years old. But Tibet at that time, not materially developed, not science and technology, those things were not there. But Tibet was completely peaceful. Tibet has a geographical size much bigger than the whole Western Europe, with all the natural resources intact. Over 180 different natural resources, including gold, uranium, they were all there, intact. Tibetans did not excavate that. Tibetans did not engage in deforestation, polluting the water. In Tibet at that time, I remember at least, that in Tibet, if you see a water, it means drinkable. It's not like that today. Today, even in 5-star hotels, you're not so sure whether you can drink from the tap or not. I asked this question once in America, in a 5-star hotel, and I asked that fellow there, can I drink from the tap? He said, maybe. He was not so sure. Maybe not so sure. But in Tibet, in those days, water means drinkable from everywhere. That is the situation in Tibet. Then I used to go and play at the foot of a small hillock where there were so many crystals of yellow color, red color, blue color. We used to play with those and then go to the running brook with a lot of flowers. I remember all this. Very, very peaceful. But today, deforestation is there, mineral excavations are there, and then flood has started, earthquake has started. So many unfortunate things are happening in Tibet, and the repercussion is experienced in all the neighboring countries. Thank you very much. Thank you.